What's up, internet friends? Johnny Yusuf here, and today I'm gonna talk to you guys about one of the biggest questions I get asked all the time. And that question is, how is your experience having and managing Airbnbs? And here's the thing, there are 5 myths that you need to know before starting an Airbnb. Because I've learned the hard way, and before you start your Airbnb, you should really know about those 5 things. That way you can decide whether Airbnb is the right thing for you, and maybe you shouldn't do it and save a lot of money, time, and pain. Or if it's the right thing, then you should prepare ahead. Myth number one. Myth number one is this notion that Airbnb is a great place to make new friends. I hear that all the time. It's like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do Airbnb. My wife wanted to do Airbnb because we love meeting people from all over the world and different cities and different cultures and making friends everywhere. And I know this is a sad reality because I'm an extrovert. I love hosting, making new friends. But at the end of the day, it's just like an Uber. And I don't know if you have been on an Uber. I'm sure most of you have. And when you get on an Uber, most of the time, you don't want to talk. Here's the deal, like, I love making new friends, but when I'm getting on from a plane or when I'm traveling somewhere, the last thing I want to know is, you know, the life story of the guy that lives in Cleveland and I'm just there for 2 days, okay? So usually when you get an Uber, you're just there because you are going somewhere and you want to be texting or doing whatever you need to do on your phone, or you want to take a little nap, or you want to plan for your trip. You don't want to worry about hearing someone's details and stories and what's their favorite sandwich. So the same is true with Airbnb. So when people are traveling, usually what they want is they're there to meet friends, or they already looked on the internet, they don't need your help because, you know, it's 2020. People are not gonna be like, hey, what's the favorite place? You know, a lot of people are doing their research online. They're gonna do that. They're gonna be coming to an Airbnb for a few days, and all they want is to maximize their goal. So their goal can be resting, their goal can be exploring, their goal can be hanging out with friends, and they usually don't have the capacity for your time, you know, wanting to hang out with them. You probably experienced that when you went to a restaurant. Have you ever been to a restaurant where the server was so sweet, she just wants to talk, and you're just like, go away, we want to enjoy our food and talk. So it's the same thing. I know that sounds horrible, but this idea that people are there and you love it because you want to make friends from everywhere, it's just not real. People will ask you for recommendations, people will ask you where we should go eat, where we should go visit, but usually that's done over, you know, the Airbnb platform. You're typing it, you're sending it. It's not really that much interactive. There are exceptions, but if you're going into this with the goal of having deep conversations and making friendship from all over the world, it is just not reality, and be prepared to know that it's gonna be much more cut and dry than you expected it to be. Myth number 2, we wanna have an Airbnb because we want passive income. Well, here's the thing, real estate is not passive income. And I know that does not sound real because most people say real estate is passive income. Long-term rental is partially passive income, which means that it's overall passive, but you still have to put some effort every month. You still have something coming up that needs to be fixed. You have an issue. You have a renter that's not paying. You have a renter calling you with questions. So it's not as passive as a lot of people think. But overall, it is pretty good and pretty passive. But when it comes to Airbnb, it's a lot less passive, that I would not call it passive income. Think about that. Passive income is the idea that you have a system in place, you have a house for people to stay in, and the money makes itself. But that's not the case, because with Airbnb, you have to make sure that there's a cleaner. Unless you hire someone else, you have to be actually the person that's going to clean or oversee the cleaners to make sure their quality is good and they're doing it, and notify them so that they're not missing a cleaning before guests arrive. You have to take care of any guests, any questions, any problems, any booking issues. You have to take care of cleaning afterwards. You have to take care of any issues with the house when they're there, whether there's something wrong with the plumbing or whether they need extra paper towels. All these things. At the end of the day, it's not passive income. So just keep that in mind, that if you're doing Airbnb and you're thinking, oh, we're just gonna work for a month to set it all up and it's gonna make itself money, it's just not the truth. So be prepared. Myth number 3, we always wanted to have this beautiful house and put our own cute decorations and interior design and things we watch with Chip and Joanna at Fixer Upper and just make this little cute place our own. Well, here's the deal. You can do that, but that cute painting that you're gonna put up, or that little cotton ball that Joanna Gaines taught you to stick on the wall, it's gonna be destroyed pretty quick. The deal is with Airbnb is Unfortunately, people are there to party, people are there to have a good time, people are there to hang out, people are there with their kids, and they're not gonna care about the house the way you care for it. Yes, they're gonna try not to damage it so that they don't lose deposit, but they're just not gonna care as much. So if you're gonna try to design this home and put all these expensive stuff and vases that can break easily, or beautiful painting, over time things are gonna fall, vases are gonna break, kids are gonna draw on top of your little poster. So I think it's beautiful and it's great, and it's very important to actually have really good design and decoration. You cannot be thinking, how can I make it the cutest possible because we want to love it and we want people to love it, without forgetting that people are not gonna care as much. So you just have to make sure that the things you put in there are less fragile, so not too much glass and vases and breakable things. You have to make sure that the things you're putting are not things that are very sentimental to you. Like if it's a painting that you painted or you got from someone that's dear to you, I would not recommend putting that. And I've seen people putting personal stuff that they really love in the Airbnbs and treat it like their own home, because people are not gonna care. So here's the deal. If you put a real painting that someone painted that's dear to you, and some kid goes and Sharpie on top of it, you know, you're gonna be able to get a refund, some sort of credit from Airbnb, but usually it's not gonna cover what's really personal to you. So you have to treat it as business. Make it beautiful, but be thinking, how can I protect it? How can I make it damage proof while making it beautiful? And how can I emotionally not be too attached with what's in there? Okay? Myth number 4 is this idea of, we will build a system, it will be great, and once it launches, it will just work itself. And that's a little related to the whole idea of passive income, but I'm not just talking about the idea of passive income. I'm talking about the idea of people thinking the logistics are gonna be simple. And that is a myth, because actually the logistics of Airbnb are really complex. So you have to remember that you can do everything right, and if you have you'll have difficult guests here and there, and everyone is asking for a unique request or making a crazy argument, or fighting a fight that is just unclear. Like, they come and tell you, oh, the bed was dirty, and you're like, we cleaned the bed, but they're sending you a picture with one hair, and you're like, is that theirs, ours, did we really miss it? But you're gonna have unique situations coming left and right. The more unique the situation, the more likely you're gonna have to be involved and figure it out, which makes it hard to create systems that are predictable, that you can just follow. I highly recommend creating really good systems. That helped me tons. Write down, create systems, create a spreadsheet with all the things that you need to always fill in the house. Create a spreadsheet with all the numbers of plates and forks and spoons, so that when you're missing stuff you can replace it. Systems are great, but this kind of business is not system proof. You're gonna have to always deal with logistics that are different and unique, and you have to be prepared for that. Because I would hate for you to get in and then spend a lot of times, a month or so building a great system, and then you have this mentality that 99% of the time now it's gonna work itself, and you realize all these things help, but they don't remove the logistics that are still required. So keep that in mind as you are getting into Airbnbs. It is a lot of logistics. Myth number 5, Airbnb is a safe investment. While I believe that Airbnb can be a safe investment, the only way it can be a safe investment is if you're not counting on Airbnb as the end final means, which means that if Airbnb doesn't work, or if things change and the laws change, you have to be able to justify turning this house into long-term rental. If you don't do the math, or if you do the math and the math does not make sense as a long-term rental, you probably shouldn't turn this property into an Airbnb. The idea that is a solid, predictable income is not true. Here's the thing, laws change all the time. And I've seen that here in my city, where Airbnb is okay, no, Airbnb is not okay. No, Airbnb is okay if you do this license, but you have to do that instead of this. So laws can change. Competition can change. When I started Airbnb, I started early on and I didn't have much competition. Now, there are incredible Airbnbs all around my Airbnbs, and I have to up my game with design. I have to up my game with what I offer so that I can stay in the competition. So it's not as predictable with laws, with competition, with expectations. We all knew from COVID-19 that stopped Airbnbs for months, and people lost tens of thousands of dollars. So this idea that that Airbnb is gonna bring solid, predictable income is just not true. So you have to plan for the worst and expect the best, but plan for the worst, which is if the competition is too much, if the laws change, if the neighbors complain enough that they want to shut it down because some people break the rules or whatever, how are you prepared? So Airbnb, you have to go in saying, I'm gonna give it my best, but if I change my mind, I get too tired, the laws change, and I have to shut it down, I'm not gonna be heartbroken, I'm not gonna go bankrupt, I'm gonna be okay. So keep that in mind. So these are the 5 myths. I would love to hear from you guys. Anything that you have experience with when it comes to Airbnbs, I'd love input. If you guys want to have specific video about something specific or a topic, comment below. Please help me out because I just started really pushing the channel. So comment, subscribe, and if you guys have any questions, thoughts, bring them to me. I'll make sure to answer you. Love you guys, and until the next one.